Imagine being lost, not just for a day but for weeks, then months. This is the incredible story of Julio, a man who vanished into the Amazon rainforest and survived against all odds for 3 long months. What started as a routine trip turned into a desperate fight for survival, a story that pushes the limits of human endurance. How did he do it? How did he find food, water, and shelter in one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth? And what was going through his mind as days turned into weeks, with no sign of rescue? Our story begins on a humid morning. Julio, an experienced outdoorsman, ventured into the dense jungle, a place he thought he knew well. He was tracking wildlife, something he'd done 100 times before. But this time was different. A sudden, torrential downpour erased his tracks and disoriented him completely. Within hours, he was lost. The familiar green canopy became a terrifying, endless maze. His supplies were meager: a small knife, a half-empty water bottle, and the clothes on his back. Panic began to set in, a cold fear that gripped his heart. He was alone, swallowed by the immense, living jungle. The first few days were a blur of fear and confusion. Julio wandered aimlessly, shouting for help until his voice was raw. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, and thirst was a constant burning torment. He quickly realized that panic was his greatest enemy. He had to think, to remember everything he'd ever learned about survival. His first priority was water. He followed the hum of insects and the calls of birds, hoping they would lead him to a stream. After what felt like an eternity, he found it, a small, muddy creek. He knew the water wasn't safe, but he was desperate. He used a large leaf to fashion a crude filter with layers of sand and charcoal from an old fire pit he stumbled upon. The water tasted of earth and desperation, but it was life. With his thirst quenched for the moment, Julio's focus shifted to food. The jungle is full of life, but not all of it is edible. He remembered his grandfather's teachings. Watch what the monkeys eat. He cautiously tried berries and fruits he saw them consume, spitting them out if they tasted bitter. His small knife became his most valuable tool. He learned to dig for edible roots and grubs, protein-rich morsels that kept him from starving. He even managed to catch small fish in the creek, trapping them in a makeshift weir he built from sticks and vines. Every small victory, every mouthful of food, was a triumph against the encroaching despair. Nighttime was the hardest. The jungle transformed into a world of unseen threats. The sounds were terrifying: the cough of a jaguar, the rustle of a snake in the undergrowth, the incessant buzz of mosquitoes. Sleep was a luxury he could barely afford. For shelter, he found a small alcove under the roots of a giant kapok tree. It offered some protection from the rain and a sense of security from predators. He'd build a small fire at the entrance, not just for warmth, but for the comfort of its flickering light. A tiny beacon of humanity in the vast, dark wilderness. He spent those long nights thinking of his family, their faces a distant, painful memory that also served as his reason to keep fighting. As weeks turned into a month, then 2, Julio's body began to waste away, but his mind grew sharper. He became part of the jungle's rhythm. He learned to read the signs of the forest: a broken twig, a disturbed patch of leaves, the flight path of a bird. He developed an almost primal intuition, a sixth sense for danger and opportunity. He was no longer just a lost man. He was a survivor, a creature of the forest. He made a calendar by carving notches into a piece of wood, a simple act to hold on to his sanity, to remind himself that time was still passing, that the outside world still existed. And one day, while searching for food farther from his camp than usual, he saw something that made his heart stop. It wasn't an animal or a strange plant. It was a piece of brightly colored plastic, tangled in a bush. It was trash. And where there's trash, there are people. A surge of adrenaline, stronger than any he'd felt before, coursed through him. Hope, an emotion he had almost forgotten, flooded his senses. He followed the faint trail of discarded items, a wrapper here, a bottle cap there. The signs were sporadic, but they led him in a clear direction. He pushed himself harder than ever before, ignoring the pain in his feet and the exhaustion in his bones. After another 2 days of relentless trekking, he heard it, a faint, mechanical sound. At first he thought he was hallucinating, his mind playing tricks on him, but it grew louder, more distinct. It was the sound of a chainsaw. He stumbled through the final stretch of dense foliage and collapsed at the edge of a clearing. There, loggers were at work. They stared in disbelief at the skeletal figure that emerged from the jungle, his clothes in tatters, his face covered in a wild beard. Julio was saved. After 3 months, 94 days of being lost in the Amazon, his ordeal was finally over. Julio's story is a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit. He survived because he refused to give up. He adapted, he learned, and he held on to a sliver of hope in the darkest of times. It reminds us that even when we feel lost and alone, there is an incredible strength within us waiting to be discovered. The jungle took almost everything from him, but it also gave him a profound understanding of life and the will to live it. Thank you for watching this incredible story of survival. If you were moved by Julio's journey, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing true stories. What do you think is the most important survival skill? Let us know in the comments below. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.